As we speak, there's so much misinformation out there surrounding the Gabby Petito case that I feel compelled to make this video. There's a lot of people on YouTube right now who, believe it or not, YouTube draws a lot of narcissists. It draws a lot of people who want to be the center of attention, who want a large following, who are very self-serving and want to create big money and become prestigious and famous and all of that. I don't really give a damn about that. I care about justice for Gabby as someone that myself has personally been in abusive relationships like that Gabby was in. And I also am just passionate about psychology. I'm very interested in the subject. No, I'm not a licensed psychologist or practicing psychiatrist or anything like that, but it's something that I have studied for 20 years. I'm very interested in human psychology, what makes people tick. And I feel like I can try to bring a level head to this because one of the reasons why I've chose this picture, which I've taken off of Brian Laundries' Instagram, is because the misinformation is so thick that I keep seeing people talk about Brian like he's a vegan and saying that he's a vegan, even though there's actual video footage of him on his own Instagram showing him cooking salmon. He's not a vegan. But this, even something so small, is so misinformed as misinformation spreads. And this is an example of that. And so that's why I've chose this image. Now let's talk about what we know as fact, because people right now are not even diving into speculation. They're diving into pure wild imagination because you know why? Because it's juicy, it's sexy, it gets people to click on their video, it gets people to send in super chat donations. That's why. And they've got to become more and more imaginative as they get more and more competitors who are also talking about the Gabby Petito case. So let's talk about what we factually know for sure. Well, we know for sure that Gabby was last seen on August the 27th. We know also for sure that Brian Laundrie was not having a good day that day. The last time he and Gabby was seen together was at a restaurant where Brian behaved volatile, aggressive. He wasn't having a good day that day. We also know, as per Gabby's mother, that she received an uncharacteristic text from Gabby that night. She referred to her own grandpa as Stan. So, based on the facts, what we know, and these are facts, based on these facts that we know, we can safely speculate without diving into way over imagination that Gabby Petito may have lost her life on August the 27th. And with that theory, with that speculation, we then too can speculate that Brian Laundrie stayed around that park several days after Gabby Petito passed away. And we have to ask ourselves why. Why would he do that? If she died on the 27th, if he was responsible, why did he stay in that park before, when he could have immediately, bear in mind, the dude has got a camper on him. He is with a camper with food, sleeping supplies, cooking supplies, hiking equipment, everything he needs to bolt, to run. He's in a better position than many other criminals who find themselves in such a position. He's way far away from everybody in a national park with all the equipment, utilities, and everything he needs to head for Mexico or Canada. And he's within straight shot of Canada. He can get to Canada pretty quick. Why didn't he do it? Why didn't he go to Canada? Why didn't he go to Mexico? He's got a debit card, we know, with at least $1,000 on it that doesn't belong to him. He could have gone to an airport and flown anywhere in the world he wanted to go. Why did he not do that? Instead, he hangs around the park for a couple of days, and he's trying to set up himself an alibi. Why is that? Because he doesn't want things to change. He doesn't want this to have happened. He's thinking frantically. He's thinking panically. He doesn't want his life to change. He doesn't want such a complete change as to go on the run and be on his own. He's wanting this to have not happened. So what he does is he's running around the park, hitchhiking, trying to set himself up an alibi, a half-ass alibi, where he's like, yeah, I was totally like hiking down the river for like 3 days or something like that, and my girlfriend's been back in the van all by herself. And he's not even able to pull off this little scam successfully. You know, he's acting panicked. He's acting disoriented. He's kind of freaking the people out that's with him. Like, you know, you're acting a little weird, dude. He's not thinking straight. So even after he runs around the camp trying to set up himself an alibi, he still does not go to Canada. He does not go to Mexico. He does not go to an airport. What does he do? Well, he uses a traceable, trackable debit card that's not his own to drive twice the distance clear across the United States at risk of Gabby's body being found while he's making that trek from Wyoming clear to Florida to go back to mommy and daddy. Why? Because right now he's like a little boy, isn't he? He wants mommy and daddy to kiss the boo-boo and make it better. He wants all this to go away. He wants this to not have happened. He just wants his life to go back to normal. He just wants to pretend like none of this happened. It didn't even happen. It's just all in his imagination. He just had a bad nightmare. He's going to get home. Mommy and daddy's going to kiss it, make it better. It's going to go away. Very immature. But that's what that in my mind is what he's thinking. So he goes back home, and what happens? Well, we don't know what he did or didn't tell his mom and dad. We know through neighbor statements that he's acting like everything's normal. He's mowing the grass. He's helping the dad repair the car. They're going camping. This is him pretending like nothing happened. Everything's normal. My life's back to normal. I don't have to deal with this. I don't have to acknowledge this. I don't have to take responsibility for this because it didn't even happen. It didn't even happen. He's blocked it out. It didn't even happen. And his parents have hired him a lawyer, which shows that his parents are trying to work with the legal system. It is within their right. We can think they're assholes. We can think whatever we want to think about them, but it is their legal right to remain silent, and it is their legal right to hire an attorney, which is exactly what they did. They hired legal counsel and representation. That's what they did. And everything kind of proceeded as normal. But you've got to think, Brian had from September the 1st, after he got home, till September the 10th, before Gabby was even reported missing. In that time, he still could have freely, there was no need for some big charade, no need for all the hoopla with a Mustang and a camper van and all this other shit, for him to hide his leaving the country. He was a free man to leave the country. He could have literally flown to Mexico with his hiking gear and hiked on down into South America, never to be seen or heard from again. He could have flown to Canada and done the same. He could have flown anywhere in the world. He was a free man to do it. They did not need to play cloak and dagger. And it would be really stupid to hire an attorney, make an attorney aware of what's going on, why you've hired him, and then help your son escape at the same time. That doesn't make any sense. You've gone through all this cost. If you're going to help your son escape anyway, just help your son escape. And then when the cops come knocking and say, hey, have you heard or seen your son? Just say, yeah, he come by, got all of his shit, and he left. We don't know where he went. He's a grown man. We don't know. But that's not what happened. And in fact, we have a situation where Brian's own parents created a manhunt in advance of a warrant even being issued for the guy. There was no body, so there was no crime. Without no crime, there is no criminal. He was free to do whatever he wanted, just like the police said. If they found him in that park, they would have just returned him back home to his parents. Or, as a grown man, if he said, hey, I'm out here camping, I'm not missing, you found me, and I'm happy camping, I'm not going back home, they would have said, well, have a nice camp. I mean, he wasn't wanted. For him to have, and his family to have gone through all this cloak and dagger bullshit, he would have had to have been wanted. But I'm telling you right now, he could have got in that Mustang, drove right in front of all those people saying, where's Gabby, where's Gabby, where's Gabby, right in front of all those news cameras, drove right to the airport with all of them chasing him, and boarded a flight with airport security saying, have a nice trip. Because he was not a suspect in a crime. Even now, his warrant is for fraud. Now, we all pretty much kind of can guess what happened. We pretty much know what happened. But we're talking from a legal standpoint. He has been free to go until he got that warrant. So basically what you have is his parents escalating a manhunt for their son, while people are saying they helped him get away. They could have gave him a hell of a lot more time. He could have had another week to go. And then when the cops come knocking on their door and said, hey, where's Brian? They could have said, well, we don't know. He skipped out of here a couple of weeks ago. He is an adult, and we haven't heard from him since. We don't know where he went. And there's really not much anybody could have done because he is an adult. His parents are not responsible for him. But instead, his parents escalated a manhunt several days in advance of when a warrant was actually issued, and nobody's talking about this. Everybody's just running wild with speculation, and now you've even got like Dog the Bounty Hunter in on it, suggesting, well, maybe Brian did go camping with his parents from September 1st through September the 9th. Camping is not a crime, and that doesn't mean they dropped him off. And now people are talking about this tip that Brian got, the bounty hunter guy got, as confirmed evidence that his parents helped him escape. No, there's confirmed evidence that they went camping. Like I said, I think Brian was trying to pretend this was all not real, and he was just trying to have his life go back to normal and make this all go away. And then what happened? The news cameras showed up. The helicopters showed up over the house. Every 5 seconds is showing pictures of him and Gabby. And Gabby's parents are on the news saying, please help us find Gabby. Why won't you help us find Gabby? And the dude is like freaked out. He's freaked out. He ran to safety, and it's no longer safe. He has to face the reality of what's happened again. And so what does he do? He runs again. He's running again to safety again, running away from what's happened. And I honestly think the dude told his parents he was going to go hiking. And he didn't show up that first day. And they were like, uh-oh, Brian's not home. Then he didn't show up the second day. And they're like, oh, shit. And then he didn't show up the third day, and his parents was like, we better drive to the park and see what's happened. He's got our car. We don't know what he's done. We don't know where he's at. And just make sure that he's where he said he would be. And they drive out to the parking lot, and they see that the car is at that nature preserve. And they find a letter on it from the Park Service or whatever that says, we're going to tow this car. It's been out here for a couple of days if you don't move it. And so they think, you know what? We're going to leave the car here to let him come home tonight. Maybe he'll come home tonight. And we'll just leave it for the night. And if he's not back by tomorrow, we'll come back and get it. And he didn't come back. And so the next day they went out to get the car, and then they called their attorney, and they're like, man, I don't know what to say. He's gone. We don't know where he's at. We haven't heard from him since Tuesday. And the attorney's like, well, you better damn well report him missing. And so that's what they did. They reported him missing. And then that escalated a manhunt that did not exist and would not have existed without them calling to report him missing. They could have gave him several more days if they wanted to. They didn't have to call their attorney and say, hey, he's gone. They didn't have to say anything. Because Brian was an adult, they were not responsible for him, and he was a free man. He could have done whatever he wanted. They didn't even have to hire him an attorney if they wanted to help him escape. They could have just, from the 1st through the 10th, booked him a flight and said, get gone, son, good luck. And I just don't see a lot of people approaching this from this perspective. I see this building up into more and more chaos, more and more imagination, so that more and more people can get more and more clicks. And now you've got that happening now with bigger and bigger stars jumping in on the case, and all of them wanting their piece of the pie, so to speak. I'm beginning to see that a lot of people that I once respected may not have always the best motives, or just really don't pay attention to things. I don't know. It's very concerning. But I just want people to think about this. Think about this before you start sending super chat donations. Think about this before you start clicking on some of these videos. Because there's a lot of misinformation out there, just like people saying that Brian's vegan, when there's video on his Instagram of him cooking salmon and Polish sausage and other meats, eating pepperoni pizza with his nephew. If misinformation is going to be about something so small, something so petty, just imagine how misinformation can inform on the bigger issues. So this is just something to think about. Thank you for watching.